This video will show you how to replace the headlamp assembly wiring harness on a GMC Sierra 2500. You'll have one of these on each side of the vehicle located behind your headlamp assembly. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Along the front of the engine compartment, we're going to remove our plastic trim panel. This is held in place with several plastic push pins. To remove your push pins, we're going to carefully start removing the center to unlock them, and then you should be able to remove the outer portion as well. For this, I'm just using a trim tool. You can also use a flat blade screwdriver if necessary. Now this one did come apart. That's okay. Just going to push it back together, but we're leaving it in the unlocked position. A thorough inspection of all hardware as we continue on, and we'll replace things as necessary. Now that we have that panel removed, let's make our way to the corner of the grill. You have a 10mm bolt. We can remove that. Continuing on, we have two 10mm headed mounting bolts across the top of the headlamp assembly. Now that I have that out of there, I'm just going to start it back in a couple threads. Now let's make our way down to the front wheel well. Now as you make your way into that front wheel well, we're paying attention to the bumper fascia. We want to start removing the hardware. Typically there'll be two Phillips head screws here. Looks as though one of them's missing down here. The hardware's been replaced on the upper one. I'm using an 8mm. Of course, you'd want to remove the pair. Once you have removed those, you're going to take hold of this area. We're going to carefully start pulling it away from the fender and away from the headlamp assembly. There we are. Now that we have that dislodged, we're going to have a look inside this area. This is where we can see our third mounting bolt for this headlamp assembly. Now a note about this, we only need to loosen it enough that we can slide the headlamp assembly out once we fully remove that bolt that we left in a couple threads. That should be good. Holding on to that headlamp assembly, we can move it around. We're going to remove that mounting bolt we had started in. Now we're just going to start pivoting this, carefully pulling it out of position. Keep in mind you do have your wiring harness along the back side. Now as we pull this away, we're focusing on the lower wiring harness here. Now this should be attached right along there, and pull it right out of place. Go ahead and give that a spin. We can see our locking tab here. Squeeze on that, pull it apart. A quick inspection for corrosion, of course. This looks good. Let's get this over to the bench. On the bench, we're looking along the back side of our headlamp assembly. We have our brand new wiring harness. When installing this, I always like to start with the large connector right along the bottom of my headlamp assembly. Just get this into position. Now that I have that in place, we can start removing each one of our bulb connectors. When I do these, I like to do them one at a time. We're going to remove the connector by turning it counterclockwise. Take hold of the bulb, remove it from the connector, and give it a thorough inspection. We're going to transfer it over to the brand new connector. Now as I bring this up to being close to being in position, since we're working on the bottom bulb on the headlamp assembly, it's the shorter of the two wiring harnesses here. So I'm going to make sure I'm installing the proper one into the proper port. Press that in, set that one aside. We can take this, line it up, turn it clockwise until it latches in. We'll move to our next electrical connector. Same process here. That bulb looks good. Brand new wiring harness, line it up, press it in. Audible click. Let's continue on over towards where our high beam and our low beam would be located. Grab onto this. As you start removing your headlamp and high beam bulbs, you want to make sure you do not touch on the glass, especially if you have greasy, oily fingers. Now, as far as the new wiring harness for this, we want to pay attention here. We're going to be using the one that's the solo wiring harness, not the one that comes up into two separate wiring harnesses. This is for the upper bulb. We're going to align the locking tab, press it in, audible click, line it up with the headlamp assembly, turn that clockwise as well. Move along to the next bulb right up above it. This one has a different type of electrical connector. We have two locking tabs, one on either side. For these, typically you can either do this by hand or use a small prying device. You want to pull away on the locking tabs and then pull it apart. That bulb looks good as well. Now we're dealing with the portion of the electrical wiring harness that has the multi-ports here. We have our connector. Our electrical connector is a little bit different here, but either way it does have a locking tab. Press it in, audible click, light tug. Let's get it in place. We have our last bulb connector, all the way in the far upper corner. It's just a marker light. That should be a 194 bulb in there. Let's go ahead and pull that out of place. A quick inspection. If it looks like it's burnt like this one right here, you want to make sure you replace it. I'm going to get a new bulb. Now I've got my brand new 194 bulb. Just going to line it up, press it in. Let's get this in place. We're paying attention to the small locating tabs. You need to get this lined up perfectly. There we are. Let's just make sure we secure our wiring harnesses coming across here. Just try to press that into place. There we go. Perfect. There's our original wiring harness. And let's get our headlamp assembly back over to the vehicle. Prior to installing our headlamp assembly, let's make sure we clean and inspect the mounting areas. Along the outboard side, we had the mounting bolt that we left loose over in this area. Just going to try to clean along the body of the vehicle. Now here's one area that we hadn't seen before. This is an area that the headlamp assembly has a small tab that slides into, so we just want to make sure it's not broken or damaged in any way. This looks good. Make our way up. We have the areas for our mounting bolts. Everything looks good here. So let's prepare to install that headlamp assembly. Now as we go to install that headlamp assembly, let's just have a quick look along the back side. Down along the bottom corner, we have the area that slides into the plastic tab that I had shown you. We have the area for the electrical connector. On the far side, this is the area that slides over the mounting bolt that we had left loose in the body of the vehicle. Aside from that, as you look up along the top, this is where you're going to find the alignment point. With all that said, let's start with the electrical connector. As far as the electrical connector, let's make sure we have the locking tab facing down. Just line that up, press it in. There we are. Make sure that's secured in place. Now that we have that connected, let's continue on with the installation. As we bring this over close to being in position, we're going to find that we have to carefully pull away on the grill. We're going to slide the inboard side into position. We have to keep it loose. We're not putting in any bolts yet because we also have to make sure the outboard side is slid in and behind the bolt head. Right in here. Now we're paying attention along this side, trying to get it aligned. Just a couple light taps here. We'll start in our upper hardware. Now that I have both pieces of upper hardware started in, we're going to tighten all three pieces of hardware, the two up here and the one on the side. Now the headlamp's fully mounted. We'll continue on with the bumper fascia. One quick note about this, if you were to look along the bottom of the headlamp assembly, you're going to find that there's a groove for the bumper cover to slide into, so we have to carefully stretch this, pull it up and into the proper groove, just like this. We'll make our way all the way across the fender next, make sure everything's aligned, and tap it into the proper placement. Now we have the area along the side of the bumper fascia that we want to install our mounting bolts. Our application only had one bolt here. Make sure that's tight. Of course, you would want to install the other bolt in this area as well. We'll reinstall the bolt for our front grille next. I've applied some copper anti-seize. We'll make sure we have this pressed rearward towards the engine. Double check to make sure it's secured in place. Let's get our plastic panel in place. When we bring this in position, we need to align all of our push pin ports. Once you have it in the proper placement, continue on with your push pins. When you go to install these, we need to have them in the unlocked position, so the center is pulled up. Drive them into position with the outer portion and lock them in with the center. Repeat the process for all down the line. Double check to make sure that's secured in place. Okay, friend, we finished our installation. The next thing you want to do is test the functionality. Thanks for watching.
Now we're going to get the vehicle ready to aim the headlights. Start with the tire pressure, making sure all 4 tires are set at the appropriate pressure. Remove any excessive weight that's not normally in the vehicle. Find a wall that you can drive up to where the ground is level. Measure 25 feet away from that wall and mark the ground. Drive your vehicle up to that mark. With the headlights off, look for the center dot in the headlight lens. Measure from the ground to that center dot. You can use a ruler to help you out. Transferring that measurement to the wall, making a mark with some tape. On the driver's side, measure down 4 inches, putting another piece of tape. For the passenger side, you only need to measure down 2 inches. Now turning the headlights on, it is easier to do this at night or in a dark area. Locating your headlight adjuster and using a Phillips head screwdriver, turn your adjuster one way or another to bring the headlight up or down. Once the headlight is adjusted to the tape mark on the wall, move on to the next headlight. If you're confused because the beams seem to blend together, you can always have someone stand in front of the other headlight while you make your adjustments for that one. Now your headlights are aligned and you're all set to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.